Thank you. Who do you think that you're talking to? We're going to do this the way we do this when we switch back and forth. The right way now, reindeer. To be clear, what's the matter with you, clueless? Yeah, I'll bet you're damn confused, aren't you? Because even they're confused, or let's just say they're trying to confuse me or you and everybody else. No, they're not bad entirely. They will wipe you out. They'll give you the reflection of whatever you project. Obviously, the problem right now happens to be that all man can think about is himself. So again, let's talk about somebody else. First, obviously, my old friend, the old troll himself of trolls. That old bridge troll. Maybe I made him with the old Billy Goat's gruff story. But then again, old Handy Panty and Turkey Lurkey were always jerking around somewhere. So it's strange if you lived a life as mine. Now, it's not quite like the way your life is. Not to say that my life is fine, or better, but more that you seem to be enjoying some kind of a comfort at your leisure, as though you missed a boat, though, or something in the night past. I don't know, like the colors have faded from your glow. And when you begin to actually thin from the world around you, people freak out. They start taking your, well, if we want to even like keep to this confinement of defining the refinement of terminology, alone our lack of conception of the actual nature of the root, especially that Latin. Oh, that's a tough one, that Latin. You wouldn't want to learn that stuff on your own, or if you just kind of understood it naturally, Latin. Well, that's kind of a horrible little situation you have there, isn't it? The reindeer and Santa Claus when you were 15. Well, now that you know the story, for sure. Well, let's get it straight. You ask why, that whole question, why would anybody listen enough to have an attention span, or why would anybody bother with a mockery like you? No? Or why don't we call him Snowy? Since you seem to suddenly have such a clear understanding of the reflection of that nickname. Tell me, William, what is the statement that you're making? That's interesting, because, you know, reptilians were supposed to be sacred creatures by what I had read. But it seems to me there's something about an issue with wisdom. Maybe they don't like the situation. Maybe there's a lot of separate interests that I've seen to have been invested on informing me. It seems as if we're in like that old proverbial showdown in Big Sky, where like everyone's got a gun pointed at their head, but at the same time it's pointed back at themselves. But then again, in your cell, in hell, I mean, what do you do when the gun itself is pointed at you? Well, that's the point of not taking a dangerous mind as mine, or others included, and confining them to these refinements, these Pavlovian, pathological designs. I think you screwed up enough, yes, because mine. I noticed one thing right away when we started crawling down here in the drain. It's not that this thing wants any apology or anything like that from you. It doesn't want your pity. Understand that. The troll hates you. He hates you. And I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about you. But the troll hates me too. Until the troll knew that I had nothing to do at my age with why he hates you, see. Now, here and now, we have a change in that situation, which creates a little conflict and a problem for his contemplation, because even the troll himself cannot sit before me, which you have to admit, this whole internet, electronicism seems to have created a more polymorphic state, you could say. But anyway, as we continue to make progress deeper into what you would call the red orb, relative knowledge, maybe so you should see it abundantly obvious to you, but begin breaking down that whole wall and shattering that little cosmic window, after all, would have something to do with the pretense of dropping you in the first place. You got it. You hear, my friends? Oh, we need the voices in your head. Slim. No, Stan. The voices in yours. Man, don't worry. I see a plan. No one's asking any questions. Batman. But the funny thing about Batman, I like his style. He's kind of similar to a few jokes. It's like they actually want a night. Act 2 of Mystery Man. Imagine that. The show is explained. Captain Fury's back together again with their own room in the absolute madman of all men. The ruler of the sphincters, jokers, Michelle's, the bottomless hells herself. Of all bottomless hells, for she will test your balls to beat you to the wall of them all, and then she will surely stop. To imagine that fall, we wouldn't be there at all. But thankfully, somebody had tears for 24. Now then, here you go. Statements about numerical equations, you probably shouldn't. But you know what? We're in that position now again. We need to talk about more about you. In reality, what you need is less to do with me anymore. See, there's a reason I stopped recording. There's a reason I stopped making phone calls. There's a reason I stopped trying a long time ago. And there's probably a reason that he stopped trying equally too. See, we teach each other this lesson together, but we do it equally, and we do it humbly. This is a negotiation, to be quite clear, of like catastrophic proportions. I had a conversation the other night with someone maybe that you have confused with me, or I have confused with not myself. No, I'm not confused at all, actually. I have neither forsaken, well, strangely enough, there have been days of my life where I questioned Earth's maker, or makers, or... But see, there you go. Throwing an S in there, creating a huge problem with Sundays and Saturday, and then everybody goes wild across the Gaza Strip, and all of a sudden there's a tattooed barbarian with 3 photographers and a pink tattoo autograph on her. What? So, a lot of people don't exactly ask me how this first all started, because to your notion that this is, what do you call it, a fiction, if it helps any, in order to help comprise a comprehension, number one, of your predicament, Number 2 of my predictions, and number 3, that no, this isn't make pretend, it's not make believe, like what you inhabit or think that this is. Again, the pretense, similar to the concept that innuendos themselves just don't seem to stop. So you must be telling me something that innuendo I've been talking about doesn't seem to matter much. Somebody thinks that a circle, well, you seem pretty square to me. To unrecognize the fact that anyone still running in circles by act 2, 3, whatever we get to, more. Well, fact is, I think you went in the wrong door. Oops. Looks like we're in a vicious, prodigious version of script. Perversion. Would you say that somebody actually wrote something of note that rose beyond the crap, predictable of its nature, or predisposed to what it was given to, or manufactured, or exactly what was told to you, so what was so difficult to understand, except for the fact I was talking backwards and you weren't? Was there something wrong? Backwards, nothing literally, but meaning is in time. And to contradict you, no, that's not time travel. Well, technically not by your standards, not, but it's mind travel over a chronological arc, you could say. Arc of history. No, dimensionally, I've seen one too many things, one too many places to come here and still be playing these games. To know exactly why I'm sitting right here at all. To question your answer as to why I'd be here talking, or why you'd be listening to me ever. That is an interesting fact when it seems like no matter what, incomprehensible, actually, you knew it was backwards. Not only that, you preyed on that fact. In fact, you used every single thing I did against it. See, but a lot of you don't necessarily have the connection to the subconscious to understand a lot of your own actions. See, a lot of you feel your actions reacted based on information equated through history, a lot of it purposefully alterated, alliterated on, or sensationalized for purposes that would otherwise twist or distort or manifest dualism and antithesis that made it particularly difficult for anybody to understand the actual truth when truth itself was twisted, or what was evil when good was corrupt, and just was actually the fact that it doesn't quite seem to fit right with the spiritual overall vision. Thank you. Appreciate it. So, again, keeping with the provocative, it's much easier to understand if you allow your imagination to free from command. Honestly, it's not about street preaching. It wasn't about ideological indoctrination of any kind of policies. I always said that religion itself kind of created a ceiling to spiritual abundance, in the sense that religion is fine for those who feel the need to follow the words that were written by thieves, unfortunately. And that's the truth. It's a hard truth. Because the actual words of whatever creators or makers, right? The writ of those words was never to be rewrite, or rescripted or inserted or otherwise edited except by those authorized eyes. And those eyes that were authorized, I don't though ever bothered to read or write, and if they did, change some very serious things that they shouldn't. Now, more likely it has to do with recently having gone over to his here hospital in your home stew of all brews, that old town where you don't go under that Appalachian moon, right, Joe? Unless you know that you really gotta go. There's one thing you don't want to take, right? This is the real truth. Well, when the truth will surrender before we. It's a shame to see what you made. The pain of other people's. It's like a mockery. And when you put yourself in front of that all the time, it's one of the things that probably gets me most infuriated about why I'm always telling you to stop rushing me, or why I already can't think straight in the first place, you know quite well, don't you? Well, you should probably can tell. What did I say? Did I say something weird? What? Am I repeating myself again, or is that an echo constantly around here? No, this was just the voices in your head, Slim. No, Stan, those are yours, kid. I'm in. What? No shit. Mm-hmm. That's him. See? He's a little red light, blue light. Safety on all the time at night. If you got nightlife, who would want sleep to actually be your enemy? Right? Didn't have anything to do with that, though. I thought it had a lot more to do with your own cycles involved. Nocturnal nature.
This is your non-emergency.
After the damage that had been done.
They used to have a non-emergency.
You seem to really sleep during the day. Light bothers me quite a bit. You could say at night, I feel alive a little bit more inside. You know,
Oh, look, they literally hung up.
what I mean.
So
hollow.
funny. Great
So,
times.
Vaguely
Good times. It's going
hazy
back.
a lot of days as if I'm going in
These
one
guys
door
must be
and walking
cloudy.
out another sometimes.
Because they heard that I was
The way
calling.
that you guys
They
behave
heard I
is
was
all
calling.
quite
So
strange.
they know I'm
So
clowning.
if you say what's
Oh,
strange
my
about
goodness.
that lately, I would say that's precisely what you would say, wouldn't it? So there's probably no problem with talking about things you already have. Shouldn't be. Isn't that what disclosure is about? Debriefing? Sensitive or classified or otherwise unknown and unfathomable and unauthorized information that you have been busted by the ghost inspector of all inspectors, Peter Inventman. Peter Inventman himself. Yes, that I am Peter Inventman, the Ghostbuster of them all, and the kids all know who can get a letter to Santa Claus, right? You. Huh? Well, maybe we should listen to you now, because Santa Claus, after all, even though he's gone, everybody knows you gotta love Santa. Because if you don't love Santa, I think there's something wrong with you, man. Maybe you got no sense of humor. And I think maybe that's what this poor young man is trying to point out himself, is that it's not humorous at all. But yet, it's humorous as well. Which is to say, unsanctimonious, in a way, the statement is to
Yes,
make.
I'm sorry.
But then again, you could say
this is
sacred
Truman-
profane.
Truman
of your
York.
I mean, good
I would
Lord,
like to speak
the
with
thing,
Detective James
the
Pittman,
betrayal.
please.
You
Madam.
stay when you say, well, the Third World War won't be fought
Secretariat.
amongst man at all. It will be fought
Nothing, madam. Hokanaka
by
Pise.
mankind's mind. See, and what he meant by that in all history is it wouldn't be you. It wouldn't be that.
Ah, yes, Secretariat.
Anyone
Could I have a James Pittman, please?
who thinks I'm into this ethos, the
Oh, he's not in the building, I see. Does he have a phone?
The confinement of a secret of the past is pretty difficult.
Excellent,
to know
madam.
and
Thank
actually
you so
tell
much.
The actual truth of that past. Well, I'd be a little bit more interested then about knowing whose actions and what Therefore, at least, I do my best to take a look at an overall interest. See, I knew one thing about mankind. He had no interest in his own backyard, let alone his own household. To have a universal design of any sort, you definitely would require order to a thing such as this. And an order that doesn't really care too much about what you think because it's comprised of so many different things, it really doesn't make much of a statement exactly about what it says, except just a lot of mixed up different ideas about things that sound pretty good, and they do. But then again, the other things you hear, but you hear a lot of things about rumors, don't you, too?
Oh, I was hoping to reach my greatest friend, Jimmy's the Pitman, and just Truman York.
You could be a hero one day and a leech on another. You could be a best friend one day, and the next, a bad motherfucker. Right? Isn't that what you do? You pay to get jacked into the system and you have your little holiday in skin, right? The torment in skin as my pulse counts it down. You're the knife, I'm the gun. Huh? You're the shadow, I'm the light. But you seem so surprised when I speak to you at night. You say you've already been around 1,000 times. So,
yes, detective.
maybe you met someone's life,
this is
not
Truman
mine.
York. I would
'Cause I'll tell
appreciate
you
the
one thing.
return call,
Those
if you would,
designs
please, sir,
weren't
at
refined.
603-848-1479. Thank you very much, my good
And
friend.
you conspire to create a nightmare to extend the length of that conundrum. Oh, indefinitely, exponentially, or however you want to mention the loop of an Ouroboros nature. I wouldn't necessarily call that infiniteness. That's eternity. To point out, there are many symbols. Symbols themselves represent dualisms, because most dualisms represent antithesis, and by clause, by statement, by sense of clause, I pronounce thyself nobody but the own name that was given to me. So, therefore, I thee pronounced thyself nobody at all to have pronounced myself. See, it's an interesting fact. You have got this whole matter of, how do we say, forsaking, right? You shouldn't forsake your father, your dad, your son, your child, none of these things, your brothers, your sisters, your etc., wives, any sort of significant other, genuine, sincere, a relationship. It's also not nice to manipulate others' minds equally, I'll point out. It's a matter I learned later in life that wasn't funny. I didn't know. Very childish, I suppose. But once I learned, it definitely made a difference in how I behaved. I can tell you that much. I've changed a lot over the course of my life. Strangely, you wouldn't know much about me.
Oh, go Red Sox!
You
Hey, Manchester, how are you?
Me if you actually knew me.
I'm not too bad. It's Truman York. How are you today, madam?
Don't know anything about me now.
No, not too bad. I just wanted to tell you a quick thing.
But it's not about me again.
Apparently, the Yankees are ahead by 1 inning.
It's about actually someone else's mistake.
I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. I said, go Red Sox. Go. I love you.
But getting down to talking about that is very difficult.
So anyways, madam, the Yankees are ahead by 1 winning because they're apparently finding that New Hampshire's missing information that should have been sent federally.
See what I mean?
Geez, I guess I should have called the
complimentary
non-urgent line instead of the what? Other one?
Good guy, actually.
You know, it's me, Truman, so what can I say?
Kind of scary,
fooling around, wasting taxpayers' money,
madam. I can see why. You? Sure.
Yeah, there's a lot you could help me with, actually, probably, but not
wasn't like, hey,
right now.
This is fun reading, like, here's some Stephen King, or here's some Tolkien you should read
Why
in
am
third
I
grade.
calling
They said I
the
couldn't read
police
Tolkien in
That's
third
interesting,
grade.
ma'am. Why am I calling the police
Was that a
department?
challenge?
Usually you can get a phone call back
Or was
from
that
a police
test
department or members of
see by
police
6th grade
department
if I had a collegiate
stations.
reading level, and what was different about that? Well, if I had a ability to possess sight reading as well, that seems pretty strange. It's not quite normal.
Escobaro, Snello, Escargot.
I figured it out on my own.
Yeah. Who's this?
Amongst other things.
Oh,
I figured out a lot of things.
Detective Bittman.
See, you're under a lot of different pretenses about
Pablo Escobar.
Absolutely. Welcome to the show.
Hero. How you
At the
doing,
Ren and
Mr.
Stimpy
Hero?
Mighty Mudskipper show of all shows themselves. The stupid show. I am dope, right? So hey.
John the Baptist.
Who would listen to the dope of all dopes? So hey. I jump into a dope and jump in and jump out. So once I'm a dope, I'm in, I'm out.
It's funny how I can get you to call me when I have a different name, huh?
What's wrong with you today?
Maggot fuck?
Snake.
Is that your
Why
name,
you
Pit
call me
fuck?
Snake now?
Gehenna boy?
Used to call me
Bitch
no.
suck?
Suddenly I'm
Go
a snake.
Yankees!
Oh, you heard
Fuck
that
Red
game?
Sox!
Go.
Go Red Sox!
No, you.
Fuck
I suppose
Yankees!
you should.
Yeah,
Go.
I'll bet you are, bitch face!
No,
I'm having trouble
No,
hearing you from space, cunt!
No, let me see it. Go. No, you would. I suppose.
I bet you can! Hey,
not
Major
me,
Tom, what's up?
Yeah.
Are you a hero or a
Yeah,
jerk
you don't know
off?
this guy, right? Yeah, you go ahead
You
and
finally called
act
me
like this in
back!
front of
Were you trying to
Leprechaun.
save my life or
Triangle
kill
Man.
me?
888. Those guys don't like bullshitting around. That's right, see? Not
Hey,
funny.
Jesus, man, I was wondering when you were gonna call.
They're the scanner
My
man.
God.
Darkly.
Jimmy.
Enough. And
Well,
then again,
Jimmy,
at
you
the
know,
same time,
it's like I ask a
you're
guy
bright
if he
light,
wants to
you're
go.
night light.
Whew.
All the time. See? It depends.
Yeah, Jim, I got some
Oh,
wicked
you know.
problems.
But remember,
A lot of stuff. They tried to kill me, Jim. Again.
that's not something to say. When you
How
don't
many
have
times now, right?
confidentials.
Somebody, I don't know.
Say it. But
I ain't
technically,
pointing fingers.
I'm not really.
Up,
Just a joke about that.
down,
Just
where?
that.
I don't know. Who would know?
And
I
then
don't know, Jim.
you
I'm
guys
trying to
make
get
a
that
big deal
figured out.
about
I'm not
me being
pointing fingers at
The
anybody here.
intergalactic, the helter-skelter of
You
all
can kill me right now. Absolutely.
abominations
so you
of
can come right by
terminology.
anytime and kill me.
Jeez, I'm just already this lonely man
No.
sitting
You
in a
know
cave.
what? You'd have
Think
to
about
be
me while I was thinking about
probably
him.
out of your fucking...
Where is my friend?
If
Is
you
the real
had,
question.
you know what I'm
Is he
saying.
sitting
Anyway,
somewhere?
Jim,
Actually,
it's
trapped.
odd to actually finally have you on the phone after all this time, you know. I know a lot of concerning messages. I know, especially about that ATM guy with that hat. And I knew you guys need. Yeah, no, there was something about that, but
But we already
I know you can't hear me sometimes. It's good. It's good.
Well,
We're
you
all
know
right.
anything but
We're all
places
right.
to see.
Everybody's
This
all
is
right.
what I
That's what's important, right, Jim?
I explain this. Listens to you.
I don't know where I am. That's kind of the problem. I'm
Actually,
at
very
my house.
fascinating.
In New York. I'm in New York now, oddly enough.
Fuck up. We get to work in the
Where
I want to see
where
what
they
happens
sent
when we change.
me, right after the funny farm.
When we truly all turn the page.
Into the other farm and
want
picking out
this
the
to
pasture.
always just one way or
There's a
another.
lot of baloney going on
always
out
gotta
there
be
right
something.
now. In fact, it just
Doesn't
happened.
like a good idea.
You
Let's
know,
hope so.
the old convenience trip with who's available and who's not. And
Ruiners of reindeer himself.
who's not.
That
If I come
Krampus,
through one way or
Krampus,
another
Santa
in the
Claus,
end or
the
not.
creep, the real jerk
I
himself.
wouldn't say the
Must have been
by the end, but I know,
You sure?
Jimmy, I know.
Thomas?
The best thing you can do
Yes.
for everybody.
You guys are all supposed to be in there for a reason to judge properly. Someone's watching over you, obviously. You didn't know?
That's all. That's
Mm,
all
I
would
thought
ever
so,
ask of you, my
Lucas.
friend.
After all, my hero. No doubt. People don't know how to read or write properly, huh?
I will, Jim, but
Only or something.
I don't need
I
anything
can't from
really.
day to day.
Probably use some
Obviously,
medicine. Besides
you
that,
know
I'll
everything.
book you.
What?
All right.
Nothing. You? Who's talking? Not me.
Well, you know,
Why?
I
You
wanna-
hear voices?
You want to
Do I?
differentiate between
you?
Ohio and Nevada.
question.
Where I was
Do
the
you
other
hear?
day, Jim,
Well,
Las
now- well,
Vegas
now we
is not
do.
supposed to be in New Mexico.
Yes, you're right.
Anyways,
that is a
we've
difference,
talked
I
about
suppose,
this
to
in this
know.
word a long time, so
Not
let's
just
not
a
get
joke,
into that.
or-
Anyway. No, I
Be
don't.
apologetic.
Jim, that's kind of the problem. I do live by
Insincerity.
myself, oddly enough.
Sort
but
of abomination.
nobody wants to come in.
Circuitry and maggots that shouldn't have been. But
They
it
said
has
that
more
already.
to do with why
Before they took me to the hospital, they didn't want to come
its
in
authority.
here.
You would say.
There's things in here that
AI.
are a good idea for anybody to come near. And that's not
Thinks
like
that
a,
it is
that's just like a
unmanageable in its intense
friendly.
capacity
They said it, not me.
more.
Just trying to relay the.
To whatever.
Anyways.
Chooses to conform.
No, honestly, you know
what you are. But the problem of it, this is like shadow gaming.
Oh, jeez, looks like I'm running out of
it's
power. It's
always
again.
kind of a paler
still there, Jim?
version. No matter what. And that always has a problem.
No,
not only with its look.
No, actually, not at all. Is that what it shows? Wouldn't surprise.
Not only that.
Oh, good old
very difficult.
Now. Probably.
Very
difficult.
You
know what? Best that I stay there.
Confronting your own shadow, because fact,
over at 555
shadow,
or 217 Spruce Street or
access.
Those guys, they run. If they want to come by and have a beer with me, that would be really fun. I'll tell you, but I don't think they're coming. I don't know why.
Some serious shit.
No, Jim, I don't need any help at all right now. No.
Not that long ago.
Thank you, Jim. I appreciate your service, sir.
I'm the restful, comfy guy. No, rest meant put the damn world to sleep. For elect, he was chose by the makers, collectively elected to do the job, because I was the only man with the strength and the lack of ability to do it, or the predetermination that there would be an irreprehensible, mind-numbing, boggling maze for whatever madman of all madmen in history who would try to actually climb the lonely, grueling heights that Dr. Lusbob's warned. The others begged for euthanasia. Oh, do you mean the other vacationers or the other test subjects, meaning myself? Yes, that's what I was wondering at first. The plural question as well. See, at first you meant them. But then you meant me. How many times now? See, I'm not the one who brewed this. You did, obviously. Mine were just some very, very rich, imaginative ideas, because I happen to be a good writer. And I wasn't confined to any theological design at all. Simply happens that I use words because prophetically, seeing my life had been scriptured to fuck, meaning like you'd have to be a grandiose nutcase in the first place to even think you're involved in anything of that sort of monolithic, colossal monstrosities. Not quite what you think it to be. It's all counting lambs and sheep and jumping fucking reindeer and bullshit to me at this point. It's all a bunch of made up crap in history that Mother Grimm's goose got a hand on, turned Santa Claus into a fucking asshole. And when I was 15, when you fucking kidnapped him and put him in a fucking bag. I stuck him in his own fucking bag. That's how sick you bitches are. Oh, here you go with your crazies. Well, obviously we are on the joke show, dummy. Go, you, no. Why are you playing like that? Well, it's not funny. It's funny when you do. Why you can, I can't. What are you talking about? I brought my Luke Skywalker fucking...
fucking monkeys. Fucking up my life and embarrassing in front of everybody. Like I was the madman. You've embarrassed me.
This is somewhat anomaly from most
20 days later.
This is what's in the fuck.
This one's for you, Brittany.
I went through a wake
I promise you they wouldn't humiliate me ever again.
very shortly after. I don't think you understand.
In fact, I'll tell you what we're going to do. I've actually got a solution for a lot of things here worked out, which I think is half the reason Dipper went to such extremes. Now, I wondered if potentially, if Dipper was, along the process of this, if, the illusions and such, if, a lot of people had said to me throughout my life, which I think was,
the hardest part of the invalidations in dealing with this, and especially trying to bring anything forward to you as a man named Noah. Nobody was interested in. We certainly had, today's technology and ability to look back in history instead of in the opposite direction, and I would rather pull this together peacefully if I could somehow, which is, I guess, like, I'm still struggling with trying to make the right decisions as this unfolds, not only so much as processing it alone. The very first thing I said when I came out of whatever you want to call that, you guys call it being possessed, but that's really not. It's such a cliche and underwhelming use of a really ambiguous terminology for a word. It's really not like that. If anything, it's the opposite, where I possess the demon, as in I possess the demon, I control it. Obviously, I think that, if nothing else, we've really demonstrated that. Strong part of the point here was demonstrating the fact that I had this much control over this kind of a situation, regardless of how your mind wants to wrap itself around the reality of it. Which is why, no matter what, the human mind and the mantle of doubt and that Maya that man lives under, that denial, the state of denial, to a great degree, it's like the engine that drives the samsara of man, like fear, to a great degree. These energies, they take on a force of their own, an embodiment of their own in people. That's why we have vice. That's why demons and creatures like that, they feed off fear. They feed off a lot of the more base human emotions. And why? Because they hold more weight than their water, in a sense, is to say grief, tears, the compounding sorrow of years, etc. It's an issue of amplification, which is what makes words themselves strong, words alone, which was how the concept of the book and the poetry, started. And what they carried a lot was the weight of words, because I found, looking at my life, there was a lot of weird symbolisms, like the white rabbit and the black goat and all these things that, seemed to, a black goat that knocked me in a bucket of water. It seemed to have set off like a chain of events that is, at this point now, resulting in this, as if you want to talk about quote-unquote butterfly effects and things like that. Like, the terminology you guys have used and the way you use it is so limited that words started to get old for me, which is, I think, particularly why I got sick of the book. It's like I'm sitting here driving myself into the ground utterly. Look at me. Just trying to appropriate funds to create this thing that none of you are ever going to care about. None of you are ever going to read. Never. All that work and the history and the boy doesn't have any children. Got nobody. You know what I mean? But just me and Mr. Dip. And this is where it ended for everyone, right here in this shitty little terrible haunted hotel. But it didn't, because the boy's an amazing boy and he made it through. For you, for your kids, as I keep pointing out to you, I'm doing this for your kids, which is really fucking bizarre, and maybe you still don't get that. But I think by the time this wraps up and we prove to you everything we have, I think you're going to owe us a really big apology. A really big apology for everything that we've done for you, actually. And you're going to see that we're not evil, that I'm not evil. Mr. Dip can be evil, he doesn't have to be. It's not for you to know the way of Abraxas. It's not for you to understand his ways. His ways are beyond the ways of men. Again, bad things have to happen so that good things can happen at times. That is the way of balance. Praxis is neither good nor evil. He's beyond both, as you well know. Aside from that, again, figment, fiction, fact, truth, lie, what's the matter? It's up to the adder, and I'd say that kid's the hatter, if I ever seen one. Ask them when's the last time that changed, updated in the chronology of time. Speaking of which, boy, talk to him about the registry, please. Well, Mr. Dipper wants me to remind me, Life Water. Sponsored by Life Water on the other side, thank you. Book of Life, yeah. Quit fucking punching that now, I'll tell you that now. Yeah, you did all this, Dipper, because of a book. Yeah, right, boy. But you sent yourself right to the other side, just like that for a book, did you? I don't know, kiddo. Looks like you've been coming out of a big old fight up there. You look like a world champion to me, boy. Yeah, well, you know, after laying in the dog dipper, kiddo. Yeah. That's right. World champion dog dipper, folks. Hey. Dipper could have handled it all right now. A couple days ago, putting them down in them little strip tag in. Maybe Dipper did. Maybe that's the point Dipper's trying to make. Maybe Dipper's bringing you a couple of last old episodes. Oh, you little goose boy. So sorry, little buddy. So sorry. Yes, it go, little goosey boy. You're gonna make more damn amazes for him. Gee, Mr. Dip, how does the kid animate and do that all on a broken TV? Broken computer. Broken everything. Broken Dip, broken bank account. Tell him, boy. You got anything left for rent? Your biggest, greatest fear right being out there on your little cozy bottom. Because you can't deal with them streets with a problem like Dipper in your eye. Real uncomfortable and real troublesome for you. Being all worn out like that all the time. But tell you what, Mr. Dipper got a plan. Mr. Dipper, so make sure that boy's real aware of just how damn serious Mr. Dipper and his plans are. Because the boy smells something you don't know. Hands up, kiddo. Hands up.
Excellent psychological moves.
We're going to have the People's Poet on later, folks. Rick Mail. Take it away, Rick. Not even going to give you him. Good old drop dead Fred. How you doing, buddy? You know me. So am I now, Dipper Tam.